Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Deja Vu here, and woot woot! We're gonna get better players out for this game. Rather than Brave and Taza, we're gonna have Leta for height, their ace, and Great for Samsung Khan, their only useful Zerg player. Great is actually pretty darn useful overall. He's pretty solid in every matchup. You know, he's a guy that you watch him, and you're like, okay, he's solid. He's not gonna wow you with fantastic play, and he's not gonna do such stupid things that you're just like, why is he even in Pro League? Why is he playing StarCraft? He's neither. He's gonna play solid. I think he's around 50 to 55% in every matchup. You know, doesn't have any big weaknesses. At the same time, he's not like he's not overly great at any matchup. And Great's not overly great at a matchup. Completely accidental pun. And he's not doesn't I don't think he really has any considerable tendencies or important builds that he really goes for. He's just a pretty solid all-around player. Yeah, just all over the place. He is going to be in the top right. Leta's going to be in the bottom right. This is Grand Line, so this is going to become a very, very vertical game. And there is that big, huge mountain ridge in the middle of the map that will be, we'll see how important it actually ends up becoming. It will be important in terms of setting up flanks and things like that, but I'm not sure how much pushes will actually go through that. We'll see how many pushes actually take place using that mountainous ridge, and how many actually go just to the low ground on their side of the map. On the right side of the map, you can just take the low ground straight to your opponent's base and really cut out a lot of time. When you start out at cross positions, or even just if you start out on cross positions on this map, this is just a very crazy map, just because there's so many ways to crisscross across the middle of the middle ground, and then you've got the islands at the 3 and the 9. Very, very entertaining to watch some longer games on this. Some very good army movement is extremely important on this map, and hopefully we'll get to see a longer game where maybe the two players start to take the bases on the left side of the map, and army movement will become very, very important. Obviously, swarm placement, using your the paths to move your medic marines and your zergling forces around will be very, very important if it gets to that stage. Could be pretty entertaining. At least that's what I'm looking forward to. We'll see what happens here. We'll see what these two players decide to do, if they allow it to get to that late game, or if they just try and end it maybe more in the early or middle game. We got a 12 hatch coming from Great. Very, very normal. I do like the 12 hatch build. And one racks into CC, I'm 99.9999% sure from Leta, since he is going to be walling in. And Leta, of course, is known for his 2-port Wraith build against Zergs, but Zergs have really gotten used to that, and it was effective for a long time. Leta was able to use it for months and months, but it's kind of fallen out of use just because players were able to figure out how to defend against it pretty effectively, and it just wasn't really worth its cost anymore. But Leta is one of the players I think that can still pull it off. He's one of those guys that his 2-port Wraith I think is just better than other players' 2-port Wraiths. There's just no other way to put it. It's just plain better. And it's kind of like what Jaedong's Mutilus Cuirass is, just plain better than other players' Mutilus Cuirass. It's just plain better. And in that same way, Leta's 2-port Wraith, his Wraith Micro, is just plain better. So definitely a possibility for him to have gone Wraiths or something like that would be very, very cool. But obviously he's going for an expansionary build, so Wraiths are a little bit less likely, just because normally you want to get those Wraiths out as early as possible before your opponent can really get that Spire tech up and running, before they really have Hydralisks that they're going to morph into Lurkers, or before they really have any huge forces out on the field. Find the scout coming in for Leta. Going to see the 3 hatches. Going to see the very, very likely 3 hatch Spire Mutalisk Harass build. Very, very common. And we'll see how well Great executes it. He could, of course, turn this into 3 hatch Lurker. It's always a possibility. Only producing 2 Zerglings so far. Very, very nice by him. Able to really conserve on his Zergling count and producing a lot of extra drones. Going to go for heavy economy build here. Of course, that means that SCV Scout is going to be in the area for a considerably longer time than normal. We do have a factory coming up for Leta, and we'll see if he decides to go with any sort of a mechanized play at all. I suspect that this is just for starport tech, maybe get a dropship out, or go for very, very early science vessels. One of those is probably my guess. But we'll see. It's still always possible that nope, he is going for a mechanized build. Going to get 2 factories out here, and going to go for mech. Should be very, very interesting. Leta with his mech build. I don't know if I've ever seen Leta do a mech build before. I know there's some people that I think should never do a mech build. Washington is one of those players that should just never do a mech build because his mech build sucks. Fantasy should never do a bio build because his medic marine micro usually sucks. It's just one of those things that some players just aren't necessarily as good at using certain units as they could be. And that's Firebat here on the right, and I don't know who that is on the left. Don't really recognize them. Then again, I don't think I can recognize many of Height's players other than Leta and Yarnak on site anyway, so yeah, I don't think I could recognize any of them. Oh well. We'll figure out who that is. We'll find out who that is possibly in the future. Maybe if this goes in the next set, we might be able to figure it out, since no team is going to be winning here. And we do have machine shop, 2 machine shops going down. So okay. Gonna see some heavy upgrades here. Maybe see a spamming of maybe get 3 tanks out or something like that. Get 3 tanks out and then make a push. Something weird like that. Could also be for double vulture upgrades, but that would be. Yeah, it actually looks like it might be for double vulture upgrades here. We got an armory and an academy going down as well, and then an engineering base. So lots of tech buildings going down right now for Leta. Virtually no army out on the ground for Leta. And he was able to do this because he saw what Great was doing, saw the 3-hatch spire play, saw kept that SCV scout in there for a pretty long time and was able to figure out what was going on. Only 1 creep colony up here right now for Great, and I'm thinking that he knows the rush distances, and he should have time to both morph that creep colony into a sunken and put down 2 more sunken colonies if necessary. But there is the ever-present danger that this could end up being vultures could end up going too quickly and running by. And there is the speed upgraded vultures, and Zergling sees it, but will they be able to morph enough in time? This is going to be really, really dangerous for Great. Great could lose the game right here. He was planning against medic marines. He was not planning for speed vultures. His timing was not prepared for speed vultures. And you can see right now he's going to have a few hydras getting into range, and actually is going to be able to block his ramp. So good there by Great, able to get that stuff down and putting down an evolution chamber as well to narrow that choke. That was very, very important by Great, able to defend against that. But now these vultures are going to put down a minefield, going to put mines at all the likely expansion points for Zerg, and going to make it very, very difficult for Great to take his 3rd base. We have very, very few turrets out right now. Note that we do have a couple Goliaths out, but I mean, oh, man, he was going for lurker play pretty hardcore here with all these hydras. If he had gone mutaplay, if he had gone mutaplay, the vultures might have gone and run by. So it's hard to say really, but yeah, Leta is definitely very, very vulnerable right now to mutas, to put it simply. Only 2 Goliaths out, probably has 4 right now, but he would have been very, very vulnerable. We do have a drone up here in the top left. There is a mine in the way, so he's not going to be able to take that base for at least a little